Building Your Financial Empire. A Money Mastery Audiobook. Welcome to Money Mastery Audiobooks. Today's audiobook is Building Your Financial Empire. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to get ahead financially while others work hard for years but never seem to build lasting wealth, the answer may not be how much money they make. It may be what they do with the money once they earn it. Building wealth is not about getting rich overnight. It is about creating a financial system that becomes stronger, smarter, and more valuable over time. Your financial empire can begin with something as simple as a decision. A decision to spend with purpose. A decision to save consistently. A decision to increase your income. A decision to invest. A decision to learn how money actually works. And most importantly, a decision to stop thinking only about the money you can make today and start thinking about the wealth you can build for tomorrow. In this audiobook, we're going to explore 6 powerful principles for building your financial empire, from creating a strong financial foundation and developing multiple income streams to turning your income into assets, developing a business mindset, protecting what you build, and creating wealth that can extend far beyond your own lifetime. So before we begin, if you enjoy audiobooks about money, wealth building, investing, entrepreneurship, financial freedom, and personal growth, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Money Mastery Audiobooks, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next audiobook. Now, take a moment to clear your mind, focus your attention, and imagine what your financial future could look like if you started building it intentionally today. This is Building Your Financial Empire. Introduction: the blueprint for your financial empire. When you hear the words financial empire, what comes to mind? Maybe you picture a successful entrepreneur with a massive business. Maybe you imagine a portfolio filled with investments, multiple properties, and millions of dollars in the bank. But a financial empire doesn't have to begin with millions. In fact, it usually doesn't. A financial empire begins with something much simpler: a system for creating, managing, growing, and protecting wealth. Think about the difference between earning money and building wealth. You can earn a high income and still live paycheck to paycheck. You can receive a large amount of money and spend every dollar of it. You can have an impressive lifestyle while owning very few assets. On the other hand, someone with a modest income can slowly build wealth by consistently saving, investing, acquiring productive assets, developing valuable skills, and making thoughtful financial decisions. That's because wealth isn't determined only by how much money comes into your life. It's also determined by what you do with that money after it arrives. Your financial empire is the structure you build with the resources available to you. Your income is one part of it. Your savings are another. Your investments are another. Your skills, businesses, relationships, knowledge, and financial habits can all become part of the foundation. And the stronger these pieces become, the more powerful your overall financial system can become. Imagine building a physical empire. You wouldn't start by putting a beautiful roof on an unstable building. You would begin with the foundation. You would make sure the structure was strong enough to support everything you plan to build on top of it. Money works the same way. Before you focus on becoming wealthy, you need to understand how to manage what you already have. Before you build multiple income streams, you need to understand how to control your existing cash flow. Before you invest aggressively, you need to understand risk. And before you worry about leaving a financial legacy, you need to develop the habits that can create that legacy in the first place. This is why building wealth is a process. First, you earn money. Then you learn to manage money. Then you find ways to grow money. Then you learn how to protect what you've built. And eventually, you can use your wealth to create lasting freedom and opportunity. The goal isn't simply to have more money sitting in an account. The goal is to create a financial system that gives you more choices. More control over your time. More flexibility when unexpected problems appear. More opportunities to invest in yourself and the people you care about. And eventually, the ability to make important decisions based on your values and goals rather than being controlled entirely by your next paycheck. But there is something important to understand. Building a financial empire doesn't happen through one lucky investment, one huge paycheck, or one perfect business idea. It happens through thousands of financial decisions made over time. Every dollar you save is a decision. Every unnecessary expense you avoid is a decision. Every skill you develop is an investment. Every asset you acquire is a brick. Every mistake you learn from strengthens the structure. And every year that you remain consistent gives your financial foundation more time to grow. You don't need to have everything figured out today. You don't need to know exactly how wealthy you'll become. You simply need to start building. In the chapters ahead, we're going to explore 6 essential principles for doing exactly that. We'll begin with the foundation, because a strong financial future requires financial stability today. Then we'll explore how to create multiple engines of income and increase your ability to generate money. From there, we'll look at how to turn income into productive assets that can grow over time. We'll examine the business mindset and why learning to create value can completely change the way you see opportunities. We'll also discuss how to protect the wealth you build, because making money is only part of the equation. And finally, we'll look beyond personal wealth and explore what it means to build something that can create freedom, opportunity, and value for years to come. So as you listen, don't think of this audiobook as a promise that you'll become rich overnight. Think of it as a blueprint. A blueprint you can use to examine where you are today, decide where you want to go, and begin constructing the financial future you want, one decision at a time. Because your financial empire doesn't begin when you become wealthy. It begins when you decide to build. Chapter 1: Build the foundation before you build the empire. Every great structure begins with a foundation. Before the walls go up, before the windows are installed, before the finishing touches are added, the foundation has to be strong enough to support everything that comes afterward. Building wealth works the same way. You might dream about owning investment properties, building a successful company, having a large investment portfolio, or eventually reaching financial independence. Those goals are possible, but they become much harder to achieve when your financial foundation is unstable. The first step in building your financial empire is not finding the next hot investment. It is understanding where you are right now. You need to know what you earn, what you spend, what you owe, and what you own. That may sound simple, but many people avoid looking closely at their financial situation because they are afraid of what they might discover. They know money comes in. They know money goes out. But they don't know exactly where it goes. And when you don't know where your money is going, you can't intentionally direct it toward your goals. Think of your money like a business. If you owned a company, you wouldn't make important decisions without knowing your revenue, expenses, debts, assets, and cash flow. Your personal finances deserve the same level of attention. Start by looking at your income. How much money do you actually bring home each month? Then look at your expenses. How much goes toward housing, transportation, food, entertainment, subscriptions, debt payments, and everything else? Next, look at your debts. What do you owe? What are the interest rates? Which debts are costing you the most? And finally, look at your assets. What do you own that has financial value? Once you have these numbers in front of you, you have something extremely valuable. Clarity. And clarity gives you the ability to make better decisions. You can begin creating a financial plan that is based on reality instead of wishful thinking. Your plan doesn't have to be complicated. It simply needs to answer a few important questions. Where am I today? Where do I want to be? How much will it take to get there? And what do I need to change to move in that direction? One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to completely transform their financial life overnight. They create an unrealistic budget. They cut every expense they enjoy. They decide they're going to save huge amounts of money immediately. And after a few weeks, the plan becomes impossible to maintain. Building wealth isn't about creating the most extreme financial plan. It's about creating a plan you can actually follow. You don't need to eliminate every enjoyable experience from your life. You need to become intentional about your spending. There is a difference between being cheap and being financially disciplined. Being cheap means refusing to spend money even when spending is reasonable and valuable. Financial discipline means knowing what matters to you and making sure your money supports those priorities. You can spend money and still build wealth. The question is whether your spending is aligned with your goals. If you spend every raise on a bigger car, a bigger house, more expensive vacations, and a more expensive lifestyle, your income can increase without your wealth increasing very much. This is known as lifestyle inflation. You make more money, but you also spend more money. Your financial situation looks better from the outside, but your underlying wealth may barely change. That's why you need to understand the difference between looking wealthy and becoming wealthy. Looking wealthy is about appearances. Becoming wealthy is about ownership, financial stability, and long-term growth. A person driving an expensive car may look successful, but that car could come with a large payment, high insurance costs, maintenance expenses, and little contribution to their financial future. Meanwhile, another person may drive an ordinary car while quietly building an investment portfolio, paying down debt, growing a business, and accumulating assets. One person is displaying wealth. The other may be building it. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy your money. Money is meant to be used. But if every dollar is consumed, there is nothing left to build with. A strong financial foundation also includes an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down. Appliances stop working. Medical bills appear. Jobs change. Businesses experience difficult periods. Unexpected expenses are part of life. An emergency fund gives you a financial cushion when something goes wrong. Instead of immediately turning to a credit card or taking on expensive debt, you have money available to handle the problem. The exact amount you need will depend on your circumstances, income, expenses, and responsibilities. The important principle is simple. Prepare for problems before they happen. The same mindset applies to debt. Not all debt works the same way, but high-interest debt can be particularly destructive because it can consume money that could otherwise be used to build your future. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while there is a large hole in the bottom. You can keep adding more water, but much of it disappears. High-cost debt can create a similar problem. You may work harder to earn more money, but a significant portion of that money goes toward interest and debt payments. That doesn't mean every debt must be eliminated before you can begin building wealth. It means you need to understand the cost of your debt and make a deliberate strategy for managing it. The foundation also requires discipline. And discipline is not about being perfect. You will make mistakes. You will overspend sometimes. You will make investments that don't perform as expected. You may have months when your financial progress slows down. That's normal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to develop habits that allow you to recover, learn, and continue moving forward. Think about your financial life as a long game. One good financial decision may not change your life. But thousands of good decisions made over many years can. Saving consistently. Investing consistently. Learning consistently. Increasing your skills. Avoiding unnecessary debt. Controlling lifestyle inflation. Protecting your assets. These actions may seem small individually. Together, they can completely change your financial trajectory. So before you move on to building multiple income streams or investing in assets, take an honest look at your foundation. Know what you earn. Know what you spend. Know what you owe. Know what you own. And decide where your money needs to go next. You don't need to have a perfect financial situation before you begin. You simply need to know the truth about where you are. Because you can't build a financial empire on a foundation of financial chaos. Build the foundation first. Then build on it. Chapter 2, Create multiple engines of income. Once your financial foundation is becoming stronger, the next question is simple. How can you create more money to work with? Because while controlling your expenses is important, there is a limit to how much you can cut. You can cancel subscriptions. You can reduce unnecessary spending. You can negotiate better prices. You can become more disciplined with your budget. But there is a floor to how far you can reduce your expenses. There is no ceiling on how much value you can potentially create. This is why increasing your income is such an important part of building a financial empire. Your income is the fuel that allows you to save, invest, acquire assets, build businesses, and create opportunities. But there is another important principle to understand. You don't want your entire financial future to depend on only one source of income. For many people, the traditional model is simple. You have one job. Your employer pays you. You use that paycheck to cover your expenses. Then you wait for the next paycheck. This system can work, but it can also create financial vulnerability. If your only source of income suddenly disappears, your entire financial system can be affected. That is why building additional income streams can become powerful over time. But don't misunderstand the idea. Creating multiple income streams doesn't mean you need 5 businesses, 3 side hustles, and a dozen investments tomorrow. Trying to do everything at once can actually make you less productive. The goal is to build strategically. Start by strengthening your primary income. Your skills are one of your most valuable financial assets. The more valuable problems you can solve, the more valuable you can potentially become in the marketplace. Think about skills such as sales, technology, communication, marketing, leadership, programming, design, writing, consulting, or specialized trades. The specific skill matters less than the principle. Learn something valuable. Become good at it. Then find ways to get paid for that value. If you're employed, this could mean becoming better at your current role, taking on greater responsibility, negotiating compensation, or developing skills that qualify you for better opportunities. If you're self-employed, it could mean improving your ability to attract customers, deliver better results, increase your prices appropriately, or create more efficient systems. The first income engine you build doesn't have to be passive. It simply needs to become stronger. Then you can begin looking for additional opportunities. One possibility is freelancing. If you have a skill that people are willing to pay for, you may be able to offer that skill outside your primary job. A graphic designer might work with additional clients. A writer might create content for businesses. A programmer might develop websites or software. A consultant might help companies solve specific problems. A skilled tradesperson might take on additional projects. The principle is the same. Turn your knowledge and abilities into additional economic value. Another possibility is entrepreneurship. A business can become a powerful income engine because it allows you to solve a problem for many customers rather than being paid only for the hours you personally work. Imagine someone who notices that small businesses struggle to manage their social media. Instead of simply looking for a job managing social media for one company, that person could create a service that helps several businesses. Or imagine someone who has knowledge about a particular subject. Instead of keeping that knowledge entirely to themselves, they could turn it into educational content, a course, a digital product, a book, or another form of intellectual property. The modern economy provides more ways than ever to turn skills and knowledge into income. But opportunity doesn't automatically create results. Execution does. And this is where many people make a mistake. They hear about multiple income streams and immediately start chasing every opportunity they see. Today it's dropshipping. Tomorrow it's cryptocurrency. Next week it's real estate. Then it's affiliate marketing. Then it's another online business. Eventually, they have 5 unfinished projects and no meaningful income from any of them. Building multiple income streams should not mean constantly starting over. It should mean building one strong engine and then adding another when the first one is stable enough to support it. Think of it like building a machine. You don't want 10 weak engines. You want several strong engines that work together. For example, your primary job might provide reliable income. A side business might create additional cash flow. Investments might provide long-term growth. A digital product might generate additional revenue. A business might eventually become large enough to provide income beyond your personal working hours. Over time, these sources can begin working together. And that is when your financial system becomes much more powerful. But remember this. Income is not wealth. Income gives you resources. What you do with those resources determines whether they become wealth. If you earn more money and immediately increase your lifestyle, you may find yourself in exactly the same financial position. You get a raise. You upgrade your car. You move into a more expensive home. You start taking more expensive vacations. You increase your monthly subscriptions. And suddenly, the extra income has disappeared. Your lifestyle grew as quickly as your income. This is why increasing income should be connected to increasing your wealth-building capacity. When your income increases, consider directing a portion of the additional money toward savings, investments, debt reduction, business growth, or other productive uses. You can still enjoy some of your success. You should. But don't allow every increase in income to become an increase in expenses. Give your money a job before it arrives. Another important principle is that you don't need to build every income stream yourself. Ownership matters. This brings us back to the idea of assets. A business can become an asset. Investments can become assets. Intellectual property can become an asset. Systems can become assets. The long-term goal is to gradually move from working only for money toward building things that can produce value without requiring every hour of your time. That transition takes time. At the beginning, you may need to work extremely hard. You may need to learn new skills. You may need to build a business after work. You may need to create content when nobody is watching. You may need to save money while other people are spending theirs. You may need to reinvest profits instead of enjoying them immediately. That's part of the process. You're not just earning money. You're building engines. And each engine can eventually make your financial system stronger. But there is one more principle that matters greatly. Become more valuable before expecting to become more wealthy. Instead of constantly asking, how can I make more money? Ask better questions. What problems can I solve? What skills can I develop? What do people need? What can I do better than I could do a year ago? How can I create more value? These questions change your approach to money. Because the marketplace rewards value. If you can help a company make more money, save time, reduce costs, attract customers, solve technical problems, improve operations, or create something people want, you become more valuable. And valuable skills can create opportunities. Your financial empire may begin with a paycheck. It may grow through a side business. It may expand through investments. It may eventually include multiple companies, properties, intellectual property, or other assets. You don't have to know exactly what the final structure will look like. You simply need to start building. Begin with one reliable income engine. Strengthen it. Increase your skills. Create additional value. Then add another income source when you're ready. Over time, what began as one paycheck can become a financial system with multiple engines working together. Remember the central idea of this chapter. Your income is the fuel, but your financial system determines where that fuel takes you. Earn more. Create more value. Build additional income streams strategically. And most importantly, turn the money you earn into the foundation for something much bigger. Your financial empire. Chapter 3, Turn income into assets. Earning more money is important. But earning more money is not the same thing as becoming wealthy. You can make a six-figure income and still have very little wealth if everything you earn is immediately spent. You can receive raises year after year and remain financially dependent on your next paycheck. You can even have a successful business and still struggle financially if the money generated by that business never becomes lasting assets. This is why the next step in building your financial empire is learning how to turn income into ownership. Think about it this way. Income is money that comes to you. An asset is something you own that has value and, in many cases, can potentially produce income or grow in value over time. When you receive a paycheck and use every dollar to pay bills and buy things that lose value, the money is gone. But when you use a portion of your income to acquire productive assets, you are turning today's earnings into something that can potentially contribute to tomorrow's wealth. That is one of the most important shifts in the wealth-building journey. Instead of asking only, "How much can I earn?" start asking, "How much can I own?" Ownership changes the game. Imagine two people who both earn the same amount of money. The first person increases their lifestyle every time their income rises. They buy more expensive things, take on larger payments, and spend most of what they earn. The second person keeps their lifestyle under control and uses part of their increasing income to acquire investments and other productive assets. After several years, their incomes may have been similar. Their financial positions could be completely different. Why? Because one person primarily consumed income while the other used income to build ownership. This doesn't mean you should avoid spending money altogether. It means you need to create a balance between enjoying your money today and building wealth for tomorrow. The purpose of investing is not to make your life miserable in the present. It is to give your future self more choices. One of the most powerful tools available to long-term investors is time. When you invest consistently, your money has an opportunity to grow. And when returns are reinvested, those returns can potentially generate additional returns. This is the basic idea behind compound growth. At first, the progress may appear slow. You invest a small amount. The account grows a little. You add more money. It grows a little more. Nothing seems dramatic. But over long periods, the combination of regular contributions and compounded growth can become increasingly powerful. This is why starting early can be so valuable. You are not simply investing money. You are giving your money time to work. And time is something you cannot buy back. Of course, investing is not guaranteed to make money. Markets rise and fall. Individual investments can lose value. Businesses can fail. Real estate markets can change. Economic conditions can shift. This is why building wealth requires more than simply putting money into the first investment someone recommends. You need to understand what you own and why you own it. There are many different types of productive assets. Stocks can give you ownership in companies. Funds can provide exposure to a collection of investments. Real estate can potentially generate rental income and appreciate over time. Businesses can produce profits. Intellectual property can generate royalties or licensing income. The right combination depends on your goals, risk tolerance, time horizon, knowledge, and financial situation. The important principle is not that one particular asset is always better than another. The important principle is to move from consumption toward ownership. Instead of allowing every increase in income to become an increase in lifestyle, direct some of that additional income toward assets. This can be especially powerful when your income grows. Imagine that you receive a raise. You could immediately increase your monthly spending by the full amount. Or you could use part of that raise to improve your lifestyle while directing another portion toward investments. Now your higher income is doing two things. It is improving your life today while also increasing your ownership of productive assets. Over time, those decisions can create a significant difference. Another important principle is consistency. Many people want to know the perfect time to invest. They want to know whether the market will rise next month. They want to know which stock will explode in value. They want to find the investment that will make them rich quickly. But building a financial empire is rarely about predicting the future perfectly. It is about developing a process you can follow consistently. You don't need to know exactly what the market will do tomorrow to understand the value of long-term investing. You don't need to predict every economic cycle to understand that productive assets can play an important role in wealth creation. And you certainly don't need to chase every financial trend. In fact, emotional investing can become one of the biggest obstacles to building wealth. When prices rise, people become excited and want to buy because everyone else seems to be making money. When prices fall, fear takes over and people want to sell because they believe everything is going wrong. This creates a dangerous cycle. Buy because of excitement. Sell because of fear. Repeat. A long-term wealth builder learns to separate emotions from financial decisions. That doesn't mean ignoring risk. It means making decisions based on a clear strategy rather than temporary excitement or panic. The same principle applies to get-rich-quick opportunities. If someone promises extraordinary returns with little or no risk, slow down. Ask questions. Understand how the investment actually works. Look for the risks. Don't let greed make financial decisions for you. Your financial empire should be built on assets you understand, strategies you can maintain, and decisions that fit your long-term goals. Another powerful concept is reinvestment. When an investment generates income or returns, you have a choice. You can immediately spend those returns. Or you can reinvest some or all of them. Reinvestment allows your assets to potentially become more productive over time. Imagine planting a tree. You could enjoy the first fruit it produces and stop there. Or you could use part of what the tree produces to continue growing the orchard. The second approach creates a system capable of producing more over time. Your investments can work in a similar way. You earn. You invest. Your assets grow or generate income. You reinvest. Your ownership increases. And then your larger asset base has the potential to produce even more. This is how you begin moving from simply working for money toward having money and assets working alongside you. But don't overlook the importance of your own human capital. Your skills and knowledge can be some of your most valuable assets. If learning a new skill allows you to increase your income, that skill can produce financial value for years. If learning about investing helps you make better decisions, that knowledge can potentially improve your financial future. If learning sales helps you build a successful business, that skill can become an income-producing asset in its own way. So investing isn't limited to a brokerage account. Invest in yourself, too. Build your knowledge. Improve your skills. Learn how businesses work. Understand investing. Study financial principles. Become better at managing risk. The more capable you become, the more opportunities you may be able to recognize and pursue. Ultimately, the goal is not to accumulate random things simply because they are called assets. The goal is to build a collection of productive assets that support your financial objectives. Your financial empire could eventually include investments, businesses, real estate, intellectual property, cash reserves, and valuable skills. You don't need all of these today. You simply need to begin. Start with what you understand. Invest consistently. Avoid unnecessary speculation. Reinvest when appropriate. Keep learning. And give your assets time to grow. Remember, your paycheck can change your lifestyle. But ownership can change your financial future. The goal isn't simply to make more money. The goal is to own more things that can make money. Chapter 4: Build a Business Mindset. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop looking at the world only as a consumer and start looking at it as a creator. A consumer asks, "What can I buy?" A creator asks, "What can I build?" A consumer looks for products and services. An entrepreneur looks for problems that need to be solved. This difference in perspective can completely change the way you think about money. Building a financial empire doesn't require you to become a billionaire or own a giant corporation. But developing an entrepreneurial mindset can help you recognize opportunities that you might otherwise overlook. At its core, entrepreneurship is about creating value. Every successful business exists because it provides something people want or need. A restaurant solves the problem of providing food. A software company solves a problem through technology. A construction company builds things people need. A transportation company helps people and products move from one place to another. A consulting business provides knowledge and expertise. The business may look different, but the underlying principle is the same. Find a problem. Create a solution. Deliver value. This is one of the most important ideas you can understand about building wealth. Instead of asking only, "How can I get paid?" Start asking, "What problem can I solve?" Because the more valuable the problem you can solve, the more valuable your solution can potentially become. Think about your everyday life. Every inconvenience is potentially a problem. Every repeated frustration may be a problem. Every process that wastes time or money may be a problem. Every service that customers complain about may contain an opportunity. Entrepreneurs train themselves to notice these things. They don't simply see inconvenience. They see potential solutions. Imagine someone notices that local businesses struggle to respond quickly to customer messages. That person could build a service that manages customer communication. Another person notices that busy professionals don't have time to prepare healthy meals. They could create a meal preparation business. Someone else notices that small businesses need better websites. They could learn web development and offer that service. The opportunities are everywhere. But opportunity alone isn't enough. You need skills. This is why developing an entrepreneurial skill set can be one of the best investments you make in yourself. Learn how to sell. Learn how to communicate. Learn how to market. Learn how to negotiate. Learn how to manage money. Learn how to lead people. Learn how to solve problems. Learn how to understand customers. Learn how to use technology. You don't need to master everything at once. Start with one skill. Become competent. Then build another. The more skills you develop, the more tools you have available to create value. Consider sales, for example. A great product isn't enough if nobody knows it exists. You need to communicate the problem your product solves. You need to explain the value. You need to understand what customers actually want. You need to be able to handle objections. You need to build trust. Sales isn't simply about convincing someone to buy something. At its best, sales is about understanding a person's problem and showing them how your solution can help. Marketing works similarly. Marketing is about getting the right message in front of the right people. Communication connects everything together. Leadership becomes important when the business grows beyond what one person can handle. Financial management determines whether the business is actually profitable. And systems determine whether the business can continue operating efficiently as it grows. This brings us to one of the most important differences between a job and a scalable business. A job often pays you directly for your time. A business can potentially create systems that produce value beyond the owner's individual hours. That doesn't mean every business becomes passive. In reality, successful businesses usually require significant effort. But the goal is to build processes, technology, teams, and systems that allow the business to serve more customers without requiring the owner to personally perform every task. Imagine a person who starts a cleaning business. At first, they may clean every property themselves. They find customers. They answer calls. They schedule appointments. They purchase supplies. They handle payments. They do everything. Eventually, if demand grows, they could hire employees, establish processes, use scheduling software, create marketing systems, and delegate responsibilities. Now the owner isn't simply selling their own hours. They're building an organization. That's the difference between simply creating a job for yourself and building a business that can potentially become an asset. But entrepreneurship also requires an understanding of risk. There is a major difference between taking calculated risks and being reckless. A calculated risk involves research. You understand the potential upside. You understand the potential downside. You have a plan. You know what you can afford to lose. Reckless behavior is different. It ignores the downside. It relies on hope. It assumes everything will work out. Building a financial empire requires you to respect risk. You don't need to avoid risk completely. You need to understand it. Every business has risks. Customers may leave. Costs may increase. Competition may become stronger. Markets may change. Economic conditions may shift. Technology can disrupt entire industries. The goal is to build businesses that can adapt. This is why learning matters. Entrepreneurs have to keep learning because the marketplace keeps changing. Another important part of the business mindset is understanding what to do with profits. When a business begins making money, there is a temptation to immediately spend it. A new car. A bigger office. Expensive equipment. Luxury purchases. But a growing business may need capital more than it needs a bigger lifestyle. Reinvesting profits can allow a business to improve its marketing, hire better people, develop new products, upgrade technology, expand operations, or build stronger systems. This doesn't mean you should never take money out of your business. It means you should think strategically. Ask yourself, what use of this money could create the greatest long-term value? Sometimes the answer will be paying yourself. Sometimes it will be paying down debt. Sometimes it will be investing in the business. Sometimes it will be building cash reserves. The right decision depends on the circumstances. But intentionality matters. You also need patience. A business rarely becomes successful overnight. There may be months when you're learning more than you're earning. There may be products that fail. Marketing campaigns that don't work. Customers who say no. Ideas that look brilliant on paper but fail in the real world. These experiences aren't necessarily wasted. They can become part of your education. Entrepreneurship teaches you through experience. Every mistake can reveal something. Every customer complaint can provide information. Every failed idea can help you understand what doesn't work. The important thing is to learn instead of repeating the same mistake. And remember, you don't need to start with a huge business. You can start small. You can test an idea. Serve a few customers. Learn what they need. Improve the product. Improve the service. Then grow. Small beginnings are not a weakness. Many large businesses began with a simple idea and a small number of customers. Your first goal doesn't have to be building an empire. Your first goal can simply be creating something people are willing to pay for. Then improve it. Then make it better. Then build systems around it. Then reinvest. Then grow. Over time, that small business could become one of the engines powering your financial empire. And even if the business doesn't become enormous, the skills you develop can remain valuable. You may become better at negotiating. Better at selling. Better at managing money. Better at communicating. Better at recognizing opportunities. Better at solving problems. Those skills can create value throughout your entire financial journey. Ultimately, the entrepreneurial mindset is not about chasing money. It is about becoming a person who can consistently create value. When you learn to see problems as opportunities, skills as assets, customers as people to serve, and businesses as systems for creating value, you begin to see the financial world differently. You stop waiting for opportunities to appear. You begin creating them. You stop asking only where the next paycheck will come from. You begin asking what you can build. And that shift can become one of the most important steps in your financial journey. Because a business is more than a way to make money. When built responsibly, it can become an asset. It can create jobs. It can solve problems. It can serve customers. It can generate profits. And it can potentially create wealth that continues growing long after the original idea was created. So look around you. What problems do people have? What skills do you possess? What could you learn? What could you improve? What could you build? You don't need to answer all of these questions today. But start asking them. Because the person who learns to create value has a powerful advantage in the wealth-building journey. A business becomes powerful when it solves real problems and creates value at scale. Chapter 5: Protect the empire you build. Building wealth is only half of the journey. The other half is protecting it. Imagine spending 20 years building a successful business, growing an investment portfolio, paying off debt, and accumulating valuable assets. Then one unexpected event wipes out a large portion of what you've built. It could be a major financial mistake. A poorly understood investment. A lawsuit. A business failure. An uninsured loss. A personal emergency. Or simply years of spending more than you can afford. The lesson is simple. Making money does not automatically protect money. If you want to build a financial empire that lasts, you need to think about protection from the beginning. The first thing you need to protect yourself from is unnecessary financial fragility. Financial fragility means that one unexpected event can completely disrupt your financial life. Maybe you have a high income, but almost nothing saved. Maybe you own expensive possessions but have significant debt. Maybe your business generates strong revenue, but you don't have enough cash reserves to survive a difficult period. From the outside, things may look successful. But underneath the surface, the financial structure is vulnerable. A strong financial empire needs resilience. And resilience begins with having a margin of safety. One of the simplest ways to create that margin is through cash reserves. An emergency fund can provide a buffer when unexpected expenses appear. You may need to replace a vehicle. You may experience a temporary loss of income. Your home may require an expensive repair. A family emergency may require immediate financial attention. Without cash reserves, you may be forced to borrow money at exactly the moment when you're least prepared to do so. With reserves, you have options. And options are valuable. The amount you should keep in reserve depends on your personal circumstances. Someone with highly predictable income may have different needs from someone whose income changes from month to month. A business owner may need a larger cash cushion than someone with a stable salary. There is no single number that works for everyone. The principle is what matters. Prepare for uncertainty before uncertainty arrives. Another major threat to wealth is lifestyle inflation. As your income increases, it can be tempting to upgrade everything. A better car. A larger house. More expensive restaurants. Luxury vacations. New electronics. More subscriptions. More entertainment. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the rewards of your work. But if every increase in income immediately becomes an increase in spending, your wealth may never have the opportunity to catch up. Imagine your income grows by 20%, but your lifestyle also becomes 20% more expensive. You may feel richer without actually becoming much wealthier. A better approach is to allow your lifestyle to improve gradually while directing a meaningful portion of your increased income toward wealth-building activities. That way, your success works in two directions. You enjoy some of the benefits today. And you strengthen your financial future at the same time. Protection also means understanding risk. Every investment has risk. Every business has risk. Every major financial decision has risk. The goal isn't to eliminate all risk. That's impossible. The goal is to understand the risks you're taking. Before making a financial decision, ask yourself, what could go wrong? How much could I lose? Can I afford that loss? What assumptions am I making? Do I understand how this works? What happens if things don't go according to plan? These questions can protect you from decisions driven by excitement or greed. Be especially careful with investments that promise extraordinary returns with little risk. The higher the potential return, the more important it becomes to understand what you're actually taking on. Don't invest simply because someone online says an opportunity is guaranteed. Don't put your financial future into something you don't understand just because everyone else appears to be making money. And don't confuse confidence with certainty. Markets can change. Businesses can fail. Investments can lose value. No legitimate investment comes with a magical guarantee of enormous returns. Another important part of protecting your financial empire is insurance. Insurance exists because some risks are too large for an individual to comfortably absorb alone. Depending on your circumstances and location, that might include health, property, vehicles, disability, liability, or other forms of coverage. The exact insurance you need will depend on your personal situation. But the broader principle is universal. Protect yourself against risks that could destroy years of financial progress. Business owners should think about this carefully as well. Personal and business finances should be properly organized. Keep accurate records. Understand your revenue and expenses. Know your obligations. Maintain appropriate business reserves. Don't treat every dollar that enters a business account as personal spending money. Revenue is not the same thing as profit. And profit is not the same thing as personal wealth. A business may generate a large amount of revenue while operating on thin margins. Understanding the difference can help you make better decisions. Taxes are another area that should not be ignored. As your financial life becomes more complicated, your responsibilities can become more complicated too. Income from employment, businesses, investments, property, or other sources can have different tax implications depending on where you live. You don't need to become a tax expert overnight. But you should understand enough to recognize your responsibilities and know when professional advice may be appropriate. Ignoring financial obligations doesn't make them disappear. It can make them more expensive later. Organization is another form of protection. Know where your important financial documents are. Keep records. Review your accounts. Monitor your investments. Understand your debts. Keep track of insurance policies. If you own a business, maintain proper financial records. The more organized you are, the easier it becomes to notice problems before they become major problems. Diversification can also play a role in protecting wealth. If your entire financial future depends on one company, one investment, one customer, or one source of income, you may be exposing yourself to unnecessary concentration risk. Diversification doesn't eliminate risk. But spreading exposure across different assets or income sources can reduce the damage caused by one individual failure. The key is to diversify intelligently rather than simply owning random investments. Protection also means protecting yourself from your own behavior. Sometimes the greatest threat to wealth isn't the economy. It's impatience. It's greed. It's ego. It's trying to impress people. It's chasing quick money. It's making emotional decisions. It's believing that because something worked once, it will always work. Wealth requires discipline not only when things are going well, but especially when things are going badly. When markets fall, discipline matters. When business slows down, discipline matters. When your income increases dramatically, discipline matters. When everyone around you is spending, discipline matters. The person who can remain rational during emotional moments has a major advantage. And remember, protecting your wealth doesn't mean becoming afraid of every opportunity. It means building a financial structure strong enough to take reasonable risks without putting everything at stake. You can pursue ambitious goals. You can start businesses. You can invest. You can grow your income. You can take calculated risks. But don't risk your entire financial future for the possibility of a quick reward. Build with the mindset of someone who plans to be wealthy for decades, not someone who simply wants to look rich for a year. Because the purpose of building a financial empire isn't to create something impressive that collapses under pressure. The purpose is to create something durable. Something that can survive setbacks. Something that can adapt when circumstances change. Something that can continue growing even after difficult seasons. Your financial empire should have both growth and defense. You need engines that create wealth. But you also need systems that protect it. Build your savings. Manage your debt. Control lifestyle inflation. Understand your risks. Protect important assets. Keep your financial records organized. Diversify where appropriate. Avoid scams and reckless speculation. And make decisions based on long-term thinking rather than short-term emotion. You will never be able to predict every challenge that life brings. But you can prepare. You can build a financial cushion. You can learn. You can protect what matters. And you can create a financial structure that doesn't collapse every time life becomes unpredictable. Remember this. Wealth that cannot survive setbacks is fragile wealth. The goal isn't simply to become wealthy. The goal is to become financially strong enough to keep building. Chapter 6, Think Beyond Yourself. There comes a point in the journey when building wealth stops being only about how much money you can accumulate. It becomes about what that wealth can accomplish. In the beginning, your financial goals may be very personal. You want to get out of debt. You want to stop living paycheck to paycheck. You want to build savings. You want to buy a home. You want to start a business. You want to invest. You want financial freedom. These are important goals. But as your financial situation becomes stronger, you may begin asking a bigger question. What am I building all of this for? That question matters because money is a tool. It can provide opportunities. It can create choices. It can give you more control over your time. It can help you support people you care about. It can allow you to invest in businesses, ideas, communities, and causes that matter to you. But money itself should not become the final destination. The ultimate goal of building a financial empire is not simply to collect more numbers in a bank account. It is to create a life with greater freedom, greater stability, and greater opportunity. And everyone has a different definition of financial freedom. For one person, financial freedom might mean being able to leave a stressful job. For another, it might mean owning a business. For someone else, it might mean having enough investments to cover their living expenses. Someone may want to travel more. Someone else may want to spend more time with their family. Another person may want to build a company that creates jobs. There is no universal definition. Your financial goals should support the life you actually want to live. This is why you need a financial vision. Don't simply set goals based on what other people consider successful. Think about what freedom means to you. What would you do with your time if money were no longer your biggest limitation? Where would you live? What kind of work would you choose? Who would you help? What would you build? What experiences would matter most? These questions can help you understand why you're building wealth in the first place. Because without a clear purpose, it is easy to become trapped in the endless pursuit of more. More money. More possessions. More status. More success. And eventually, you can discover that you have spent years building a financial empire without deciding what you actually wanted that empire to provide. Your money should serve your life. Your life should not become a servant to your money. That doesn't mean you should stop being ambitious. It means your ambition needs direction. Think about the assets you've been building throughout this audiobook. Your savings. Your investments. Your business. Your skills. Your knowledge. Your income streams. These things can potentially create value for years. But the most powerful asset you can continue building is your knowledge. Financial education is not something you complete once. The financial world changes. Markets change. Technology changes. Businesses change. Opportunities change. Your own circumstances change. The more you understand about money, the better prepared you can be to make decisions when those changes occur. Learn how investing works. Understand risk. Learn how businesses make money. Understand cash flow. Learn about taxes. Understand debt. Study negotiation. Improve your ability to communicate. Learn how to evaluate opportunities. You don't need to become an expert in everything. But you should become knowledgeable enough to protect yourself and make thoughtful decisions. And then there is another level of wealth that is often overlooked. Teaching. If you build wealth but never teach the people around you how to manage money, the lessons may disappear with you. Imagine what could happen if financial education became part of your family's culture. Children learn that money should be managed rather than simply spent. They learn the difference between wants and needs. They understand saving. They learn about investing. They understand that income is valuable, but ownership matters too. They learn that debt has consequences. They learn that wealth takes time. They learn that financial success isn't about impressing other people. These lessons can be more valuable than simply leaving someone a large amount of money. Because money can be spent. Knowledge can continue creating value. This is where the idea of legacy becomes important. Legacy isn't only about leaving behind money. It's about leaving behind something meaningful. A business. A body of knowledge. A strong family. A portfolio of productive assets. A reputation for integrity. A system that creates opportunities. A foundation that helps the next generation start from a stronger position. Your financial empire can become part of that legacy. But legacy doesn't require billions of dollars. You can build something meaningful at any level. Maybe you own one successful business. Maybe you build a modest investment portfolio. Maybe you purchase a property that produces income. Maybe you create a product that helps thousands of people. Maybe you simply become financially stable enough to give your children opportunities you didn't have. All of these can represent meaningful progress. The size of your financial empire matters less than the value it creates. And that brings us to one of the most important principles of long-term wealth. Think in decades, not days. The internet can make wealth look instant. You see someone become successful and only see the result. You don't see the years of learning. You don't see the failed businesses. You don't see the investments that went nowhere. You don't see the nights they spent working. You don't see the mistakes. You see the outcome. This can create unrealistic expectations. Building real wealth usually requires patience. There will be seasons when your progress feels slow. There will be investments that take years to develop. There will be businesses that need time to grow. There will be periods when you have to reinvest instead of enjoy the rewards. There will be moments when other people appear to be moving faster than you. Don't let someone else's timeline make you abandon your own. Your financial empire is not a race against everyone else. It is a structure you are building for your life. And structures take time. A tree doesn't become strong because someone pulls on its branches. It becomes strong because it grows roots. Your financial life is similar. The habits you develop today become the roots of your future. The investments you make today can become tomorrow's assets. The skills you learn today can increase your opportunities tomorrow. The sacrifices you make today can create choices later. This is why consistency matters so much. You don't need to make one extraordinary financial decision every day. You need to make enough good decisions consistently. Save. Invest. Learn. Build. Protect. Improve. Repeat. Over time, these actions can compound into something much larger than any individual decision. And remember something else. Your financial empire should create freedom, not become another prison. There are people who earn enormous amounts of money but have no time. They own expensive possessions but are constantly stressed. They run successful businesses but cannot step away from them. They have wealth but no sense of purpose. That is not the kind of empire you want to build. The goal is not to become so obsessed with money that you forget to live. The goal is to build enough financial strength that money becomes a tool rather than a constant source of fear. Use your wealth to create choices. Use your knowledge to create opportunities. Use your assets to create stability. Use your success to create value. And when you reach a level where you can help others, consider doing that too. Generosity can be part of wealth. Impact can be part of wealth. Opportunity can be part of wealth. Financial success becomes even more meaningful when it extends beyond yourself. So as you continue building your financial empire, don't only ask, how much money can I make? Ask, what can I build? Ask, who can I help? Ask, what opportunities can I create? Ask, what can I leave behind? Those questions take you beyond short-term financial thinking. They move you toward long-term wealth. Because the greatest financial achievement isn't simply having money. It is building something that creates freedom and value beyond yourself. Your empire may begin with a single dollar saved. It may grow through a skill you learn. It may expand through a business you build. It may strengthen through investments you make. And one day, you may look back and realize that the greatest thing you built wasn't your bank account. It was the person you became while building it. Disciplined. Patient. Knowledgeable. Strategic. Resilient. And capable of creating value. That is the mindset of a true wealth builder. Think beyond today. Think beyond the next paycheck. Think beyond the next purchase. Think beyond yourself. Build something that lasts. Conclusion: your empire starts with one decision. Building a financial empire may sound like a massive goal. But every great financial journey begins with something much smaller. One decision. One habit. One investment. One skill. One business idea. $1 saved instead of spent. One step in the right direction. Throughout this audiobook, we've explored 6 principles for building lasting financial strength. First, build the foundation. Before you can grow your wealth, you need to understand where you stand. Know what you earn. Know what you spend. Know what you owe. Know what you own. Create financial stability and develop the discipline to make your money work according to a plan. Second, create multiple engines of income. Your income is the fuel that powers your financial journey. Increase your value, develop useful skills, explore additional income opportunities, and look for ways to create income beyond a single paycheck. You don't need 10 income streams tomorrow. Start with one additional opportunity and build from there. Third, turn income into assets. Making money is important, but keeping every dollar tied to your time is not the ultimate goal. Wealth grows when you begin owning productive assets that can potentially create value and income over time. Fourth, develop a business mindset. Look for problems that need solutions. Learn to create value. Develop skills in sales, communication, marketing, negotiation, and leadership. You don't have to become an entrepreneur, but learning to think like a problem solver can completely change the way you see opportunities. Fifth, protect the empire you build. Building wealth means little if one careless decision can destroy years of progress. Manage risk. Maintain appropriate reserves. Avoid unnecessary speculation. Understand your financial obligations. Protect what you've worked so hard to create. And finally, think beyond yourself. Don't build wealth simply to impress people. Build it to create freedom. Build it to create opportunities. Build it to give yourself choices. Build it to support the people you care about. Build it to create something meaningful that can continue producing value long after today's efforts are forgotten. Remember, your financial empire doesn't have to look like someone else's. You don't need to become a billionaire. You don't need a luxury car. You don't need a mansion. You don't need to prove your success to anyone. Your financial empire might begin with paying off your first credit card. It might begin with building your first emergency fund. It might begin with your first investment. It might begin with learning a skill that increases your income. It might begin with starting a small business on the side. What matters is that you begin. And then you continue. Because wealth is rarely created by one dramatic moment. It is usually created through thousands of ordinary decisions repeated over time. Save. Invest. Learn. Build. Protect. Improve. Repeat. There will be setbacks. There will be unexpected expenses. There will be investments that don't perform the way you hoped. There will be business ideas that fail. There will be seasons when progress feels slow. That's part of the journey. Don't confuse a temporary setback with permanent failure. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Your financial future is being shaped by what you do with your money today. So don't wait until you have more money to start becoming financially disciplined. Don't wait until you are wealthy to learn about investing. Don't wait until you're successful to start thinking long-term. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you don't know. And improve one decision at a time. Because you are not simply managing money. You are building a future. You are building options. You are building resilience. You are building ownership. And ultimately, you are building a life where your financial decisions can create more freedom instead of more limitations. Your empire starts with one decision. The decision to stop treating money as something that simply comes in and goes out. The decision to start treating money as a resource that can be directed, multiplied, protected, and used with purpose. You are the architect of your financial future. Build deliberately. Build patiently. Build intelligently. And most importantly, build something that lasts. Thank you for spending this time with Money Mastery Audiobooks. If you found this audiobook valuable, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Money Mastery Audiobooks, and turn on notifications so you can continue learning about money, investing, business, wealth creation, and financial freedom. And remember, you don't have to build your entire financial empire today. You only need to take the next step. One decision can change your direction. One habit can change your finances. One skill can change your income. One investment can begin a journey that lasts for decades. So start where you are. Keep learning. Keep building. Keep investing in your future. And never forget. Wealth isn't built by accident. It's built by intention, discipline, and consistent action. This is Money Mastery Audiobooks. Until the next audiobook, keep mastering your money, keep building your future, and keep creating your financial empire.